Hello there everybody, it is me XFreezerBunny and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. So today's build is a little bit different from my usual speed build. Believe it or not, this is a fully functional 3x4 micro home. Alright, so first of all, I'm really surprised at myself for actually choosing to do this kind of build and actually pulling it off. For those of you guys who know me and who are familiar with my work, you would know that this kind of build is way out of my comfort zone. Normally I'm used to doing, medium to large size builds that involve hours and hours and hours of painstaking work and all the detail and all that stuff. And I feel like this build is kind of like the exact opposite of that. Even before I started doing this, I already gave myself a set of restrictions that I need to work around, and normally I don't do that. But actually doing this build was actually a fun little challenge for me. So I've always wanted to do kind of like this micro house builds for a while now, but I was so scared to try to do it in The Sims 4. I felt like it was going to be something that I would dread building. Surprisingly, that wasn't the case in this one. Even I'm surprised. I literally just finished building this. It took me like an hour 30 minutes. It's probably the shortest build I've ever done. Also, this is hands down the smallest build I've ever done as well. And you know what? We're gonna factor in the fact that this build is a starter, which is something that I rarely do, and it's under 17,000. I think, if I remember correctly, this build ends up around 16,600, including the lot. So I think this is also probably one of my cheaper builds. So yeah, we're literally just ticking records here of things that I don't normally do on the channel, but you know what? I think that it's always great to try new things once in a while. And I'm really happy that I did this because I actually had way more fun than I was expecting when I first did this. So yeah. One of the main inspirations for this build was actually micro homes I've seen in Tokyo, Japan. And a lot of them are kind of like this really interesting sculptural shapes. So for the exterior, I went for kind of like this deconstructive style, I guess. Basically, I really like the idea of making the shape sculptural so that people passing by who had no idea this was an actual house, they would think that this was like a sculpture or like an art installation right by the road, and then when they look closely they would realize that it was actually somebody's house. Yeah, so that was kind of like the main inspiration for it. I'm really happy with how the exterior turned out. So on the ground level there's nothing there, there's just the garage with, you know, a sized up toy car. And then the entire living area occupies the space on the second floor, which is only 4 tiles by 3 tiles big. It's like a total of 12 tiles all in all, and that's like an absolutely tiny space. Now, speaking of tiny homes, I know this is my first time to do like a tiny home on the channel, but I know that a lot of people actually do this on a regular basis, and let me just say kudos to those people because I don't think I can be that creative enough to do tiny houses on a regular basis. I remember the Sim Supply doing a series of tiny builds a couple of years ago. I think he was able to do a build that was 3 by 3 tiles small. I had a difficult time working with this build, and it's 3x4. Imagine the struggle of actually trying to build a fully functional, livable space in a 3x3 tile. It's crazy. But that's a challenge for me in this build. Usually when it comes to tiny houses, I feel like it can get very utilitarian and, you know, aesthetic isn't really a priority, but, you know, I wanted to do a build that was very stylish and had some sort of design to it as well. So, you know, I wanted the interior to be very cohesive and very almost realistic. I would say it's realistic, you know. And I didn't just want to make a space where the sim could just, you know, survive. I wanted to make a space where, you know, the sim could actually live a happy, comfortable life, an enjoyable life in this space. And I feel like I did that because, as you guys can see, there's a lot of entertainment. Also, there's a lot of traffic outside my window. You guys will have to excuse that. Like I said, I'm literally leaving tomorrow morning, early morning, so I need to get this video up ASAP. So yeah, this is probably gonna come up slightly earlier than my usual build. By the way, in case you guys don't know, I'm going on a little road trip with a bunch of my high school friends. I've already talked about this in another video in my previous build, so if you guys haven't seen that, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. But yeah, I'm going on a little road trip for a couple days. We're going to the beach, which is a great thing to do because literally I need that in my life. Who doesn't? Oh, by the way, if you guys want to follow along, you can always follow me on Instagram. I will be posting on my Instagram stories if you guys are curious to see what I'm up to. There's this really interesting, like, bohemian beachside little party place that we were going to, and I don't know, it's really interesting to me. So I'm really looking forward to that. And if you are curious to see what I'm up to, you can always follow me on Instagram. I will be posting on my Instagram stories, and my Instagram will be linked down in the description of this video, and you can also check it on my channel. There's like all of my social media. You can find it everywhere. Even on my Twitter, I think you can find my Instagram and stuff like that. By the way, in case you guys don't know, my Instagram, it's XFreezerBunnyX. Exactly the same as my username. So yeah. Stalk me if you want to. You won't find a lot of stuff there. I don't really post a lot on my Instagram. But yeah, for the interior, as you guys can see, the struggle is real. However, I didn't struggle as much as I was initially expecting to be honest. Like I said, I had surprisingly a lot of fun as I was working on this. Yeah, I had a lot of fun unexpectedly, I would say, because I feel like doing this, I was expecting it to be like killing me. If you guys get what I mean, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die. Like by the end of it, I'm like literally dead. But that didn't happen actually. I actually genuinely had fun. I thought I was gonna record this whole thing in one sitting, but that wasn't the case. I ended up having dinner, so I had to split the recording into two, but for the most part, you can see most of the footage. Like I barely had to edit the footage to make it into a reasonable length. So yeah, you guys can see probably more struggle than the usual build because I was like, you know what, they need to see this. They need to see how I came up with the space and all that good stuff. By the way, here's the thing. I'm pretty sure you guys, especially for those who know me, you know that I'm very honest about my opinions on The Sims 4, and probably surprising to some people, but I am very open about some of my criticisms for the game. I feel like I'm very fair when it comes to when I criticize The Sims 4, but likewise, I think I'm also fair when it comes to pointing out things that I actually like about The Sims 4. And one of those things is actually very much highlighted in this build, and that is the way that Sims move around and interact with their objects. I feel like in The Sims 4, they're more lenient when it comes to their space. Like, how would you say this? Like their collision detection, or like their collision threshold, I guess. I don't know the technical term for it, but I feel like in previous Sims games, the Sims would literally get stuck all the time, especially if you put objects using move objects. But thankfully that's not the case in The Sims 4. Like believe it or not, almost all of the items here is fully functional. Actually, I take that back. Everything here is fully functional. The kitchen, living room, bathroom, bedroom, your sim can literally just live in this space and have, you know, a happy life, living their best life. There is a little bit of clipping, but I don't really see that as a big issue. You know what would be so awesome though? If we had like mini fridges that we can put underneath counters, that would be so awesome. That would have saved a lot more space. As you guys can see, I kind of struggled a little bit with the layout here. I forgot to put a sink at first, so I had to kind of like reconfigure the whole layout of this interior. I really wanted to keep those like sliding doors, but I ended up having to delete them because there just wasn't space for them. And yeah, so this build doesn't have a stove. I don't really think a stove is necessary, honestly. Like, when I used to live as a college student, literally didn't have a stove. I survived my college years just by having a microwave. Literally, my aunt gave me a microwave, and it literally saved my life. Yeah, most of my meals were like stuff that I can do with a microwave, I guess. I don't know. It's not the best, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people who live by themselves in tiny apartments, especially college kids, could probably relate. So yeah, the bathroom doesn't have a sink, but it does have a fully functional toilet and shower, so that's that. The bathroom actually takes up like a fourth of the space. Yeah, but it's fine. I feel like, considering the entire living area is in a tiny 3x3 space, I feel like this is already like an achievement. Hashtag goals. I love this bed, honestly. Like, this bed and the way it's positioned, like right next to that window right there. Oh, so beautiful. I don't know, there's just something really awesome and cozy about these tiny spaces, I guess. You know what? I think I wouldn't mind living in this kind of house. You know, maybe not permanently, but just to experience what it's like, you know. I would be very interested to see what it's like. So yeah, I moved the bed a little bit, just to kind of clear up that space, make it less cramped. And here I'm just trying to make it look like it's actually built in over there. And I don't think we're putting more functional items. I think all we have to do is kind of just put in some decorative items over here. Of course, there's a plant over there. I love that plant, actually. I use that all the time in my builds, and of course a clock as well. And here I am just checking everything, making sure that everything is where it should be. And I think that's actually it for the interior, and we're gonna do a little bit of changes over here on the exterior. I actually was contemplating on probably like building, you know, other normal size houses on this lot, just to kind of like frame this whole build, because the thing is, in Japan, when you look at these micro homes in Japan, they're often like squished in between these bigger, you know, normal size houses. But, you know, I was like, yeah, I just want to make this as cheap as I can possibly make it, so I just decided to not do that. But yeah, I really like it though by itself. I feel like it does look kind of like a sculpture, so I'm really happy with it. And we're just putting in some lights on the outside as well. Let's see, what else am I gonna put here? Oh, actually, we're gonna put a couple of functional items over here outside. We have the mailbox and also a garbage bin as well. But other than that, there's really nothing functional. Like, I'm amazed myself that I was able to fit that much stuff into such a small space. But you know what? Like I said in the beginning, this was a fun little challenge for me, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it as well. Hopefully you guys learned something, and yeah, I think having said that, that's going to be it for this build. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys want to support the channel, please feel free to do so by sharing the video and subscribing, because that really means a lot and I really appreciate it. And other than that, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this commentary right here. Thank you guys so much for watching. You all have an awesome day. Enjoy the rest of the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.